Beneil Dariush. Here he is, as I said.
What's going on? Yeah.
One half of this weekend's main event. And I appreciate you taking the time, because I texted you last night because Anthony Smith has got a fight in a couple of weeks. So I'm flying solo today. I thought, I need some guests. I thought Beneil was fantastic last time. You know what I mean? I wonder if I can get Beneil. I thought, he's fighting on Saturday. I can't ask him. I thought, So I sent the text. I'm like, it doesn't matter. I apologize for that. And you were like, of course, let's do it. Yeah. I appreciate it, Beneil.
Yeah, of course, man. Monday's a good day, you know? Monday's like before the storm. If it was tomorrow or the following, it's going to be tough. Man, my schedule's so packed. This is the most packed I've ever had my schedule.
Yeah, no, I do know. Tomorrow you'll be on the plane in the morning, right?
I'm already here. I got here early. Yeah, I didn't want to. I know that the weather's a little different, so plus I like to get away, so I just get away and come here a little early.
Yeah. I'll be there on Wednesday. How is the weather? What should I pack? Should I bring a warm coat?
Yes, it's cold and dry.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for the heads up. I could have looked at the app, if I'm honest. Beneil, I was sitting on the exercise bike this morning, the Peloton, and I was doing a little bit of research for this weekend's fight, and I was watching you versus Mateusz Gamrot. What a fight that was, and what a performance. Obviously, this weekend, you've got Arman Tsarukyan. Tell us your thoughts on this fight. Tell me the kind of challenges that Tsarukyan brings to the table.
You know, Tsarukyan's young, he's hungry, and he's improving all the time. You know, that's one of the benefits of being young. You can train so much and you're hungry. So it's a dangerous fight for me, because he's going to take his losses and think to himself, you know, he's going to improve from those losses and come back and stronger. And one of the best ways to prove that he's better is by beating a guy like me. You know, he lost to Mateusz, but I beat Mateusz. So if he beats me, he proves himself that he's grown from his loss. So I think that it puts me in a difficult position, because this guy's really hungry.
What do you think he's going to do? Try and grapple you?
I think so. I mean, that seems to be his style. I think he's going to mix in striking and grappling like he usually does. And I think he'll see which one is favoring him, and then he'll stick to that one more. That's typically how he fights. If the grappling option is available, it's always option A for him, I think. But he also uses pretty good striking overall as well. So it's going to be one of those things where he'll switch off, I think.
Yeah, I'm just trying to bring up your Wikipedia page. Here it is here, because off the top of my head, and I'm trying to bring it up so I know fully, you have been fighting the very best guys, top of the food chain guys. Hold on, here we are. Charles Oliveira, Mateusz Gamrot, Tony Ferguson, Cesar Ferreira. Now you're fighting Arman Tsarukyan. Tsarukyan he often said that he was going to be the future of this division. And he is very, very talented. Who was that fight that he had? It was Arman Tsarukyan versus it was one of my favorite fights. Tsarukyan versus, help me out.
Gamrot. I think it was Gamrot.
No. It wasn't Gamrot. It wasn't bloody Gamrot. Who was it? Hold on.
It wasn't Gamrot? His fight with Gamrot was amazing.
His fight with Gamrot was good. It was. Hold on.
He fought Makhachev on his debut. He beat Oliver Mercier. He's beat
It was Gamrot. It was Gamrot. It was the Gamrot fight. It was the Gamrot fight.
Let me tell you something. Yeah, let me tell you something about that fight. I watched that fight, and at that time, I had no opportunities. Like, no one was available to fight. And I called my manager, and I told him, I want to fight that guy. I want to fight one of those guys, basically. So that's how the Gamrot fight ended up happening. I was so impressed with that fight. I want to fight those guys. So yeah, I'm with you. That was one of my favorite fights.
And that's kind of where I'm going with this, because I mean, to hear you say that, and to give the respect, and then to watch that fight, because that fight was phenomenal. I think that was one of the more entertaining MMA grappling kind of fights that we'll see. I mean, the pace was nonstop, and you'll be more than prepared, more than ready. Your grappling's at a very, very high level, and you're always prepared as well. But for you to watch that and say, that's who I want next, I want one of those guys, I think that speaks volumes about your character, because there seems to be a narrative that some people put out there that some of the top guys, I think you might have said it yourself, that the top guys are kind of going round in a circle and fighting each other.
Yeah, there's definitely there's definitely a little bit of that. The only guy who's kind of stepped out of that has been Justin Gaethje, basically, when he fought Fiziev. Um, but besides that, like, you know, they've spoke to me about fighting Dustin Poirier a couple of times, and it's never materialized. They even called me to actually it was going to be on Tom's card. So when John Jones got hurt, they called me and they said, "Hey, can you make weight in 2 weeks to be on that card? We'll put you against Dustin Poirier." I think they want to beef up the card, and obviously I said yes. And then they said, "Well, this is according to my manager." Then they mentioned December 2nd, and then fighting him December 2nd. Obviously, same thing. Yes. Uh, Never. And then they got back to me, or Ollie got back to me. He was like, "Nope, it's just going to be Arman Tsarukyan." And I said, "All right, well, whatever. It's makes no difference to me."
Yeah, no, of course. Dustin right now, if I'm not mistaken, doesn't have anybody matched up. So if you get the job done here this weekend, and I know he wants to fight on UFC 300, he's been very vocal about that. I mean, that sounds like it might work.
Yeah, I mean that might work. This weekend could have worked. Last 2 weeks ago could have worked. I'm not. It's not me that's like, oh man, it's got to be this date. It's got to be that. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You're always ready to go. Did you have a great Thanksgiving last week? Did you get
Yeah.
involved with the whole festivities?
So my side of the family, they're not really big on turkey, and then my wife's side of the family, they're not really big on turkey. So I went and bought some tri-tip. I found some picanha, and then I smoked it, and that's what we ate. We had a pretty big Thanksgiving. We had at least like I want to say 10 pounds of meat, and then we also had the what is it the ribs, the beef ribs, big beef ribs, smoked those as well, and that's what we ate. I don't think we ate anything that was chicken or turkey. So it was an amazing Thanksgiving. Actually, the food was probably the best we've had.
Nice, good. And we did the same thing. We got a tenderloin roast. I mean, the turkey's all right, but if I'm trying to have something special, I don't want turkey. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, I get the tradition, but even if it's turkey, I would have to smoke it myself, and the process is. If I'm going to take all that time to do it, I'd rather just do, good quality meat.
Here's why we never did turkey, because we're going to England to see my mother and my dad, and we're going out for Christmas. And in England, the traditional Christmas dinner is turkey. I'm like, we don't have turkey twice in a row. Do you know what I mean? So we're doing that. But never mind that. I want to ask you about this smoking. You've mentioned this a few times. A lot of people are into the smoking. I like to barbecue. Got a decent setup outside, but I don't have a smoker. What smoker do you have, and what would you recommend, and why should I get a smoker, and why would you pull that face, Beneil?
Because it's like it's a game changer. Traeger actually sent me a smoker. You got to reach out to them.
Traeger, hit me up. I will Instagram the shit out of it. I'll do anything for free.
Yeah, they sent me a smoker, and I started practicing. The great thing about it is it's really hard to mess up with a Traeger because you could use it off your phone. So if you got for example, if I do a brisket, it takes me 10 hours. But if I'm on my phone, I can just turn it off whenever I want, whenever I need to. So it's got it tells me what the temperature of the meat is, whatever, and then I can turn it off just from my phone. So it connects to your internet. It's so convenient. So I got a Traeger. The tri-tip and the picanha takes about 3 hours. Brisket takes 10 to 14 hours. And then the beef ribs could take like 6 hours, depending on what you do. Whatever you like, everybody's different. And then if you want to do a steak on it, even the steak tastes better on it. So I'm a big fan of the smoker.
And I know this is supposed to be an MMA podcast, but I am curious about how much space does one of these take up? Because I'm in my mind, I'm thinking about where I can put this.
It's tiny compared to all the other grills. Like, those built in the house, those are huge. This is much smaller. So, and you can move it anywhere you want. Mine's in the backyard. I just have to be careful because the dogs, they'll chew the cord. So I've had to buy new cords. But besides that, man, it's great.
What kind of dog have you got?
I got 2 German Shepherds and a Chihuahua.
Oh, this is my guy. This is Alfie.
There we go. Yeah.
He's no longer with us.
He looks like he was about 100 pounds, right? He looks
He
like
was
a
a
big
big
guy.
old boy. He was a big
Yeah.
old boy.
Yeah. So mine are female, and they're both 80 pounds. And I think they're mixes. They're not 100% German Shepherd, but they look like German Shepherds. But they're just, bro, they're full of energy. They never stop.
Yeah. No, he passed away. He had what's called a fistula, basically scar tissue covered over his ass. So he couldn't pass. He couldn't take a dump. Yeah, it was awful. Then they put a balloon up his ass. They pump it up and it tears. I'm serious. It tears the scar tissue. That cost $5,000. Then it came back. Like his head was big, but if we say his head was this big, his body was this big. He just couldn't go, bless him. And in the end, they had to let him go.
What causes that?
It was just the breeding. You know what I mean? Just yeah. It's his own immune system because of the overbreeding. His own immune system attacked him. And it caused scar tissue to block. So, it was the most undignified way to go, bro.
Yeah,
it's a very, very nasty way to go.
It sounds awful. So he was a 100% Shepherd, right? German Shepherd. Yeah. Okay. Sheesh, man, that sucks.
The pure breeds, man. The pure breeds. Yeah. Anyway, let's get back onto some fighting stuff. I'm going to start crying in a minute, Beneil. The lightweight division. It's it is the most stacked. It's got the biggest stars right now. What's going on with the champ? Islam Makhachev. He's going to fight Charles Oliveira, right?
That's what I'm hearing. He's going to fight Charles, and they're aiming for February, right? I still see Makhachev coming out ahead in that one, but I think it'll be a much tougher fight. I think if Charles comes in with a good mindset, he's very difficult, and he can obviously upset the champion. I'm not downplaying his skills. And then I've heard Justin Gaethje's basically lined up for right after that. So it's in some ways, I guess the division is going to be a little slow next year.
Yeah. Obviously, you've been in there with Charles. You know, it was a competitive fight until he got you with that head kick and the left hook. But you were doing fantastically. But Charles has had an incredible career. As somebody that's been in there with him, I mean, how does he feel? Is it strength? Is it intensity? Because you controlled him on the ground, even though he's known for his jiu-jitsu and he's got the most submissions. But what was the one thing that maybe you could highlight that really afterwards you stepped back and you were like, wow, that surprised me?
I don't know if I would say he surprised me, but he definitely takes a lot of risks. Even when he attempted to take me down, he did it in a way where he put himself in a bad position and then ended up on bottom. So that's something that really stands out. He takes big risks. So even more than I thought. Yeah.
So assuming you go out there, you get the job done against Arman Tsarukyan. Ultimately, you want to get your hands on Islam Makhachev. Do you think, let's just say you have to have 2 more fights. What would you think? Do you think that sounds about accurate? This one and one more, and then maybe you get a shot at the belt?
Yeah, it depends on who I fight after this. Lord willing, I win this fight. It's who I fight after this, right? It's one of those situations because if like you said, UFC 300 with Dustin Poirier, that pretty much guarantees the title shot, right? I think. But if I get somebody who's not so well known, then it's a little bit tricky.
You think Islam's still going to be the guy? You think ultimately that's who you will face for the belt?
I think so. I think he's. I think his style is seems to be Charles's kryptonite because he's got a very patient style and he allows Charles to make mistakes. Yeah,
of course. And I hope that day comes because you deserve it, Beneil. You really do. We'll let you go in just a second. Austin, Texas. What's the vibe like? What are you making of Austin so far?
Well, they got a lot of green-haired and blue-haired people. That's something I would.
That says it all.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I mean, it kind of throws me off. I was really surprised. I'm like, I'm in Texas. I was waiting for cowboy hats,
Well, you know why? Everyone's leaving California and they're going to Austin, Texas.
Yeah. So that was one thing that I kind of was like, okay, that's interesting. But got to give them credit. They got really good food so far. The family's happy with the food. And what else? Their coffee's not bad, is from what I hear. I got to test it out, but I can't have coffee till after the fight. So it's a process.
Why don't you have coffee?
So I started working with Sam Calavita recently, and he's not big on coffee. Sam is from the training lab. He's just a really smart guy, and he explains why it's not a good idea to have coffee. And so I've been trying my best not to have coffee.
Interesting. Now, I am interested about that. I was watching a video this morning with Andrew Huberman, and they were talking about specifically this. Can't remember any of the big words that they used, but it basically takes away from your natural energy, so on and so forth. All right, bud. Listen, perfect. Well, Saturday night. How do you get your hand raised?
Man, I really want to finish. I think he's never been finished before. I really want to finish, and I think in order to pull that off, I have to come at him pretty hard. You know, I have to put the pressure on and not stop.
I'm looking forward to it, buddy. I'll see you there. I'll speak to you in person on Thursday for the fighter meetings. Thanks again for taking the time. I know you've got a full schedule this week, so if you get any downtime, enjoy yourself. Good luck in the fight, and I'll see you soon.
I appreciate it, brother. Take care.
My man. Thank you, Beneil.